We are live now on all of our channels, I think, sending data, streaming on Twitch, streaming on X. It should be on YouTube in a second now. Let's see. Oh, we're on YouTube now. Awesome. All right. Cosmocast is back, guys. It's been I think it's been a month since our last stream. We've been out and about doing stuff, traveling, doing our late summer vacations, I guess.
Yeah.
It's been a good time. I guess just to get started, we can talk about what we've been up to for the past month and just kind of talk about our personal lives and the exciting adventures we've been having. You've been in Thailand, Jamil, which is probably the most exciting thing going on.
Yeah, so I was in before people start to go. I was in Thailand because I have a friend who's a Muay Thai fighter, and I've been training Muay Thai for years, and so I went to join him, and we were training at his gym in Bangkok. Twice a day, like 2-3 hours each time. 90-degree weather, super humid, really tiring. I went to a bunch of fights. I basically just went to Thailand for Muay Thai. I wish I had more time to actually explore the country. But I ate super well, trained my ass off. It was really great because life is pretty simple as a Muay Thai athlete. It's very hard, obviously, but you wake up at 6:30, you go run, you go to the gym, you jump rope, you shadow box, you hit pads, you hit the bag, you clinch your spar. You do that, you go back home, you eat, you sleep, you get back up, you do the same thing. That's a day, and you just repeat 6 times a week. And life is pretty simple, right? I wasn't really thinking about all of the very stressful things in the world and the minor stresses in my life, et cetera, et cetera. So it was pretty great. I miss Thailand a lot. It's a beautiful country, and the people are the worst you'll ever suffer from them is indifference, because largely they're extremely polite and very respectful. And one of the things that was particularly I found really, really nice was they smile all the time, and they laugh. And it was great because then I had to go visit family in France, and it was opposite. And I was like, my God, we live in cynical societies. And so, yeah, it was pretty great. I had a blast, honestly. I recommend anyone to go to Thailand. It gets a bad rap because of Western imperialism and other reasons. And
yeah, I mean, obviously, the last season of White Lotus probably didn't help.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, there is a lot of that. It really sucks to see. It's really gross because the country is beautiful and culturally it's extremely rich, and the people are amazing, and the food is fire. It's just
no, I
so good.
Love Thai food.
Yeah, the food is really just phenomenal, and yeah, I really recommend anyone to go there and just enjoy it. So it was incredible. I was there for like a month. Yeah, I really needed it. I know that you were in San Fran trucking away.
Well, I was gonna say, first of all, there was a border dispute.
Oh yeah,
Thailand.
Yeah, I can kind of relate my own.
Yeah, you got to tell us about that.
Heady experience. So, I'm not an expert in Thailand and in Thai politics and history, but Thailand is, from what I can tell, largely the nationalist ideology is pretty deeply reactionary. And it's based on kind of this weird combination of Buddhistic nationalism and absolute monarchy. And the Thai are, I would say, by and large, pretty uncritically monarchist and deeply nationalistic, sometimes in pretty revanchist ways. So I was with my trainers in the gym, and when the border conflict was like popping off, like my trainer was like showing me videos of like Cambodian troops getting blown up and being like, yeah, Thailand. And I was kind of like, yeah, sure. You know, I mean, I can't really speak Thai and tell you what I think, but so by and large, like, yeah, people were pretty like uncritically supportive of the war efforts. And from what I know, I mean, I think the superficial reason has to do, and I don't think it's the true reason, but the reason I had found in media as to why the border conflict is popping off is there's been disputed territory, which came out of the colonial era and the cutting up of nations. And I think the the Cambodians got they got a temple that's important to both sides, and so there's this dispute over like this little tract of land that contains this temple. I've seen photos of the temple; it's really, really beautiful. But yeah, that's the superficial reason that was given in the media. But yeah, there's been this like border conflict for like decades now, you know, and it pops off every once in a while. And to be honest, if the conflict were ever to go down, the Thai would win. It's kind of like an analogous situation to like Russia and Ukraine. Thailand has a much bigger population. It has much bigger GDP. It invests a lot more in the military. So just by war of attrition, they would defeat the Cambodians. And the conflict, from what I last heard, wasn't going very well for the Cambodians. Not that it's going. I mean, in an absolute sense, it goes well for no one because there's deaths, right?
Yeah.
For reasons that could be easily, I mean, like for instance, that site could be declared a World Heritage Site where citizens of both countries could have equal privilege or claim to it in a way, right? To visit it, to practice their religion. So, yeah, that happened, and it was kind of funny to see just like my trainers being like, hell yeah, let's blow up the Cambodians. Yeah.
It's depressing.
Yeah,
but there is a Republican like anti-monarchist movement in Thailand called like the Red Shirts, I believe.
Yeah. I don't know how much popular support they actually. I mean, I'm sure it's a movement, so therefore it's not 8 people in a university. But by and large, and once again, I'm not an expert. Just anecdotally, from what I could tell, almost everyone around me was uncritically monarchist. Also, the thing that you have to understand is that like a lot of Thai fighters come from rural areas, and I think that in Thailand, the rural areas tend to be more Buddhistic, nationalistic. I mean, like for instance, like I met I have one friend who's French, and he has a Thai like fiance, and she was telling me a story about like her mom. And her mom telling her, like, if you see a snake in a Muslim, kill the Muslim first. So, yeah, and she's, like, from, like, a more rural area. So there's also, like, a lot of Islamophobia in Thailand. That has to do with the fact that, like, I was looking into it, that in a lot of, so, like, 6% of Thailand is Muslim, and most of the Muslims a lot of them are in the south, where they have contacts with Malaysia, right? Historically, and even were part of like Malay sort of polities. But I think in the late 19th century or something like that, they got annexed by the Kingdom of Siam, which is modern day Thailand. And so they got kind of incorporated into this Buddhistic polity where they were very often sort of culturally and politically oppressed. So evidently there's tension, right? And there's been even separatist movements. So that's kind of, this fragmented polity is kind of the source of this tension, and apparently the war on terror threw gas on the fire.
Yeah.
So you see like also these kind of interethnic or not even interreligious kind of conflicts, and yeah, that was pretty shocking to hear, because then I told her, I'm like, yeah, I'm from I'm Muslim, like, the way that many people say I'm Muslim, right? I don't practice, but like my family, I'm from a Muslim country. My family's Muslim. My ancestors were Muslim. And she kind of looked at me like, shit, I said something stupid. So
well, hopefully they reconsidered their perspective after that.
I don't know. I think that I was kind of like, I was kind of like questioning like why is there such like it seems like there's very weak. Once again, I'm not an expert. I don't speak the language, but just from like impressions, I didn't feel that there was like a strong sense of class consciousness. I didn't feel like there was a lot of progressive content to their nationalism. I imagine that if I would have gone to like Vietnam, it would have been very different, right? And they had very different histories under imperialism. The Thai were kind of kept as a buffer state between British and French territorial claims, right? Because like the British had Burma and everything, basically everything northwest of that, and the French had Indochine, right? And they kind of left. The Thai love to say like we were so strong, that's why they couldn't colonize us, but it's more like no, they just couldn't figure out how to divide you guys up, and they were dominating you guys already economically and in everything.
Right.
So it was just going to create too much international conflict to divide you guys up. So they just left you as a buffer between colonial zones. But yeah, so really, really fascinating country. I really recommend anyone to go there. It's beautiful, and it's like it really, honestly, had an incredible time. If you train Muay Thai, if you don't train Muay Thai, it's worth going to. Yeah.
Jamil, let me ask you, like, how does training Muay Thai in Thailand compare to in the U.S.? I've heard that in Thailand they spar more, but like less heavy. But I'm curious your impressions.
I mean, it's just like it's kind of like okay, let me give like two analogies. Like, let's say you play basketball in Ukraine, and then you come to the U.S. to play basketball. It's just another fucking level. You know what I'm saying? It's just another level. Or if you go play football in Brazil, like, I mean, real football, soccer in Brazil, it's just another level, right? The way it works in Thailand is that these fighters start fighting. They're generally from a northeast region called Isan, which is very rural and very poor. And because of economic reasons, they turn to fighting very young. So they start professionally at 8 years old. And by the time they're, for instance, like my trainer retired at 24, by the time they're 24, they have over 200 fights. So they're reared in this. This is like in their culture. Like this is for like the Thai working class, for the Thai rural workers. This is like their bread and butter. It's like deep. It's very deep, their connection to it. And so obviously their level is just like, it's just like in another world. Like, I was like sparring dudes who are like 120 pounds and like 5'5", and I'm like 6 foot, 160 pounds. And they were just whooping me, just whooping me. Like,
got any videos recorded of?
Yeah, I do. I'll show y'all. But just like, not that it's a competition when you're sparring, but they're just. Right. It's like I'm a child. You know what I'm saying? And in the U.S., I'm quite decent. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm on the better side in the U.S. And over there, I'm shit. I'm shit. So the difference is like, one, it's really deeply in the culture. Two, the level is just incommensurable. They're just infinitely better than us. And three, they're really not, as you were saying, like it's a lot like less ego driven. Sometimes in the US, you go to a gym and dudes just be swinging, like leaving their careers in the gym, just like punching each other as hard as they can in the head until they can't string together like 3 words. And the Thai that's very different. It's not meathead in that way. It's a lot of like play. You know, for them, like training is about playing and being relaxed and having fun, even though they work extremely hard. But like, yeah, no, I mean, it's really incredible. The other cool thing about if you train Muay Thai in Thailand is like, you're going to have a different connection, I think, to the country because, a lot of people go there to do fuck shit and horrible things. And even if they're not perverts, they go to just get like wasted. Right. But so like their only contact with the Thai is one of just domination. Right. Whereas when you go as a student of Muay Thai, like you're with Thai people, like learning from them, and really trying to like understand what they do. And it's gives you very different, you make deep friendships. And yeah, I really recommend it. Even if you want to just like go there and you've never done it before, they're really kind and they won't beat the hell out of you. Even if you're like a total noob, they'll like really teach you if you go to a good gym. So yeah, it's fascinating. Honestly, it's a really fascinating culture. And maybe one day we'll do like an episode on combat sports and the left, because unfortunately right now in the US, combat sports is just like a pit of reaction and
Yeah,
toxic masculinity.
we got to
And
get Felix on to talk about
yeah,
combat.
I would love to, because I actually think that it can be it's something worth getting into, but there is a way to be a leftist in combat sports and not be a toxic masculine prick.
Oh, of course, of course.
And because martial arts can teach you like first off, like it's actually, if you struggle with aggression, it's a very good way of channeling your aggression. It's a very good way of developing discipline and and also kind of like humility. And so I think that there's like many good things that you can, in the right environment, learn from martial arts. And I think there is a left way. It builds like deep camaraderie, because like when you're in a fight camp and you're like suffering, like you're side by side with people from all over, and like really there's like this incredible like camaraderie that you kind of develop in suffering together. So yeah, no, I mean, but unfortunately, like in the US, and like I look at MMA and I'm like, this shit is trash. Like this is why one of the reasons I can't do MMA is because like these people are just fucking awful. Like they're just so awful. They've really ruined, the right wing has really ruined the sport. It just made it so obnoxious that I don't know who the hell would want to like be around these freaks. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're like some weird culture warrior that just like loves jamming Tren in their, in their butt or whatever. So,
Well, I mean, more like the big MMA guys today. Like, there's that Jake Shields guy is like a big.
Well, he's awful.
Yeah. Then there's
I mean, you have the gorilla Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Joe Rogan.
The various discourses on like apparently recently he had a Holocaust denier on, which is
Jake Shields, right?
I don't know if was it Jake Shields, and then the other. So he has like three kinds of convos, like shit like that, like Holocaust denialism, like gorilla versus tiger conversations, where they just, like debate like ad infinitum whether like a gorilla would defeat a tiger, and then like in a fight, and then there's like MMA talk, and that's the least innocuous, I guess, but and he is like an expert in that, but just because of the other two things, you're like, I can't fucking deal with this guy. So you have Jake Shields, you have Joe Rogan,
and there's that Irish guy who's like
McGregor,
yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean the MMA world now, like Brendan Schwab,
I don't know him, but
he's like on Joe Rogan shit. He's like one of his little minions, and he's like a former MMA fighter and a comedian, and like his comedy is itself comedy. It's like you don't laugh at the actual
that's the
comedic.
thing. Like none of these people are funny.
No, they're not funny.
Joe Rogan's comedy is just really, really bad stuff.
Like it's really low.
I saw some of it, and a lot of it was just him basically like talking about like how he wants it up the butt, but like, like that was the joke. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't. That sounds like more like I mean, I don't understand.
It's like elementary school level humor.
Yeah, he's really not funny. He's really unfunny. All of them are unfunny,
and they're so full of themselves too. They think they're like part of this elite club of like comics who like nobody is like good enough to be part of except for their little like.
Yeah, they're like comics that do karate and fucking kung fu and shit.
I mean, the guys I love are like the Russian, Georgian, like Muslim, crew, like, Khabib or Khamzat Chimaev. I think he had a big fight recently. He won.
Dominated. I mean,
it's a very good contrast between kind of like the brash American fighters and, these kind of Muslim.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Caucasians are sketchy in their own way. First off, they're all reactionaries. Secondly, like with like Islamist flavors. Secondly, they have connections to basically the Russian mob through like
Oh,
Kadyrov.
hell yeah, hell
Yeah,
yeah.
like Ramzan Kadyrov, who's the president of Chechnya.
Oh boy.
and is
Oh,
wanted.
I know who Kadyrov is.
Yeah, I mean, he's a heroin smuggler. He's a human trafficker, and he sponsors a lot of these guys and has a close connection to people like Hamzat Chimaev. So, even like the like kind of quote unquote morally superior Caucasian Muslims are just like also just trash. Like really, MMA is turned into just a pit of hell. I don't know if it's ever been great politically. Uh, Not really, but it's really just awful now. Just all over internationally. So I don't know what the hell to do about it. I think something about obviously the sport itself lends the physical character of the sport itself draws
Yeah.
that, but I think a lot of it has to do with. Actually, I don't know. It's honestly worth getting into. It's a long discussion.
It's worth getting into because I mean, it is true that rightoids like love like combat sports because of the whole masculinity, virility, vitalism thing.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's like inherently a right wing thing.
Yeah, because I mean, there have been boxers in the past.
Yeah, of
In
course.
many ways, boxing is more violent than MMA. I mean,
Yeah.
Because of the way they train and because of the fact that it's all headshots or a lot of them are headshots, you get worse CTE in boxing.
Yeah.
But there was like many left wing examples. I mean, Muhammad Ali. I mean, so it's not as if it's the physical character. There's a 1-to-1 between the kind of physical character of the sport and the political beliefs held by fighters and people who appreciate the sport.
Well, I know the Panthers did martial arts training in prisons and stuff like that. Although you could argue, they also had, some problems with.
I think it'd be pretty hard to argue that they weren't left wing. You know what I'm saying? Whatever problems they had. So.
Well, we can point to one martial arts that is inherently reactionary due to its physical characteristics.
Krav Maga.
Krav Maga. Yeah.
Like every time. So there's like, my coach was like, oh, like there's a guy who comes to our class and he teaches Krav Maga. And I'm like, don't have me spar him because I will literally kill him.
There's gonna be.
And he was kind of like.
Krav Maga is kind of like a bullshit martial arts. Is what I've heard. It's like not a real thing.
It's categorically Israeli because it's the way to maim your. It's basically meant for combatants to maim non-combatants or civilians. Like it's ideal for maiming civilians. So if the person you're attacking doesn't know anything about fighting, that's what Krav Maga is made for, just brutalizing Palestinians.
That really is the most Israeli thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like a coward's way to like you stab people in the eye and kick them in the balls. And
but they teach you the American military too, or some variation of like
I'm sure
like
it's
this.
trash. And if it's really just it's trash. I mean it's inherently reactionary and fuck Krav Maga. It sucks. It's stupid. It's ugly. It's designed to brutalize Palestinians. Fuck the IDF. Fuck Israel. I'll repeat that over and over again.
Yeah, never can be said enough.
Yeah, it can never be said enough. So that is a martial arts that should just be confined to the dustbin of martial arts history and kept there and incinerated and then buried and then unburied and shot into space. Anyways, enough about. We should definitely talk. I mean, I do think sports is something that maybe on the left we, I mean, this is such a typical kind of thematic. The left doesn't take X seriously enough.
Yeah,
but I think that sports is it's a civic kind of religion for many people.
Yeah, no, I mean,
simpletons like me. It's an important part of many people's lives.
Yeah.
And it's worth talking about. It's worth getting into and thinking through. And I mean, a very good way to get. If you had left sports teams, it's like a really good way to build camaraderie and community and stuff like that. So it's definitely worth thinking about, like a left take on sports. It's been done, and many people do.
Oh yeah.
We should do it. Is kind of what I'm saying. Talk about it sometime.
Definitely. It's something that I really like. I guess to quote Frank Zappa, I never really cared for sports, but
Yeah, I get that.
it's something that we need to talk about more, and something that I've definitely like become more interested in it from a social perspective over time.
I mean, it is a pretty fascinating.
Like the history of baseball in America is really interesting, actually.
But even kind of like from like an anthropological, I mean, that's kind of a pretentious way of putting it, but it's interesting that like human beings do sports. It's like a very human thing, right? It's and play games in general. Like, what is the place of games in human history? It is something very human, like 22 people get on a field, 11 on one side, 11 on the other. And then there's this like erection of totally arbitrary rules, and people get incredibly invested in it. It's a deeply human thing.
Yeah, and I mean the way you described, just waking up every day and training, sounds better as a way to cope with the stresses of life than therapy, honestly.
Kind of, I mean, not to get too personal, but it's ended up sort of substituting for it.
Yeah.
It's a very good way to cope with anxiety and stress.
Definitely.
It's saved me in many points in my life. It's kind of a necessity at this point in my life. I know, Jack, that you just had a tournament, BJJ tournament.
I did, yeah. Although I'm not as advanced as you are, Jamil, and I do not recommend replacing therapy with martial arts. Although I do agree on the healing properties of kind of a nice.
No, I agree. I'm not suggesting everyone.
Don't come to me for medical advice.
Yeah, you heard it here, everybody. Yeah, no need for therapy. Just hit somebody in the head. You don't even need to go to a gym. Just find a friend and hit somebody in the head.
No,
have you ever met guys like that at the gym, Jamil? Like guys who come like to train, or people who come to train, and you're like, what are your background? And they're like, oh, I've just like, me and my friends, we just like hang out in the backyard and just, punch each other in the.
If I deal with a person like that, I stay at arm's length because
that's smart. Yeah. I've definitely encountered people like that at my gym that like have the kind of crazy eyes a little.
Yeah. Well, what you end up realizing is they suck, and then you just toy with them, and they quickly calm down because they can't do anything.
Yeah. Well, it's especially in jiu-jitsu, which is like a totally different sport, and it's just like if you don't know the technique and you're just backyard.
It's actually, from what I know about, I mean, I did jiu-jitsu like 15 years ago for a period. I was a blue belt at the end, and I just remember, like, especially with white belts, you always get these big dudes, and they're just trying to like crack. You're just trying to like rip your neck off, and you're like, man, chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
Trying to like Cirque du Soleil your arm, like you're like, oh man.
Yeah. So, there's this one guy at my gym, big guy, who will like, I'll have him in a controlling position, and he'll just be trying to like break my wrist,
Yeah, like that's something.
And I'm like, I don't want to deal with that.
I know people who have been like gotten semi. I mean, I'm be careful is what I'm saying, but have gone like semi-paralyzed.
Yeah.
From just idiots cranking their necks in the wrong way.
Yeah. It's no joke.
So,
man. I did have a competition this weekend, and I took home the gold, although not in blue belt, Jamil, in the white belt. So definitely, it's all the beginners. So best of the new in this.
But you're supposed to compete against people with your experience. Otherwise, it's not a competition, right? I mean, it's only fair. Yeah,
it's true. Well, it's a good feeling, because most of the guys in my gym, most people in my gym are like more experienced than I am. So I spend most of my days, just getting my ass kicked.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'd be proud.
Yeah, dude, be proud. Congrats.
Oh, yeah. Two submissions. Cross collar choke.
Hell yeah.
Get their asses.
Yeah, they wanted me to fight in Thailand, and I wasn't there for long enough. And I was like, you guys are gonna throw me in the ring with some Thai kid who's got like 100 fights.
Yeah, like a 15-year-old or something.
I had like 7, and he's gonna just beat me into So I was like, no, next time. They're like, no, you fight. I'm like, no.
Yeah. Do you have any goals, Jamil? Competition goals?
Yeah, I'm gonna go for nationals next year, I think. In right now, there's the WKA's World Kickboxing Association. Right now, happening this weekend. I might go for that next year, and then I'm also gonna go for nationals next year. We'll see how I do. We'll see. Yeah,
Sick.
but I hate it. Do you have to cut weight for BJJ? I forget.
I did for the first time. Yeah, I was at like I don't have a scale in my house, so I like went to my friend's house like last week to weigh myself, and I'm in the under 170 weight class, and I weighed myself and I was 171. So I was like talking to some people in my gym, how do I lose the weight? And one guy was like, oh, you just put on like 5 layers of clothes before you go to bed, and you sweat it out. And I told another friend of mine, Ethan, another Marxist Unity Group member, who's also big into martial arts. He's going to Vegas actually this weekend for like the big national, I think IBJJF competition.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, no, you don't need to put on all those clothes. You just don't eat. You just don't eat the week before. It's like, oh, okay, I'll just starve myself. So I was like, dude, like a couple of days ago, I was like just dreaming about, eating a burger, or, having something like
the
that.
last, what people understand is the hardest part of competing is cutting weight. And, the week of, you reduce, you have no carbs. Basically.
Yeah.
You basically have no carbs. You eat controlled amounts of protein with no flavor or salt. So you're starving yourself. You don't drink until you water load. And then like a few days up, like before, you basically do both. You starve, and then you dehydrate yourself by going into like saunas with like 3 sweaters on, and sweat out like 5 pounds of water. So I walk around at like 160. I compete at like 140.
Oh shit!
Yeah, wow. And so like
that's a big cut. That's a big cut.
So it's really, and by the time you're like, a shriveled up nematode, you have like not eaten really like a real meal in a week, and you haven't really drunk correctly or in the right way because you're either water loading or you're just like dehydrated. You're like, I would drink a dirty puddle of water with a soggy burger in it at this point. Like, I would do anything for sustenance. Like, it's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of thinking, like, at what point does it become like diminishing returns? Like, I guess you kind of have to make the weight, but it's like starve myself. I was like, man, am I just gonna get like weak?
Well, the problem is if like I walk in there at 160, there's gonna be some dude who's a fucking monster, and like 180 on the day of, because what people understand also is that you lose all this weight and then you weigh in, and then the day of you drink and eat and you gain back like 5 pounds, 10 pounds. Some people gain back like 15 pounds, you know what I'm saying? And weight classes matter. So you have to also, but you're right though, you have to kind of like let me put it this way, if like I had to do a 135 cut, I couldn't do it because I would walk in there weak and just feeling like total shit because I'm dying basically. And it's hard. It's really that's the hardest part. If anyone wants to kind of know what like the life of a fighter is like, and you like, this is gonna sound so stupid, but you like anime, watch Hajime no Ippo. It's about boxing, and like it does a very good job of showing you like kind of what it means to be a fighter. And I can, most people think that fighters and athletes in general are kind of just like dumb meatheads, but a lot of them are not. They're highly disciplined people who have a very singular focus, and that's an admirable thing. And you'll see that in that in that show, but you'll see that in top athletes in general. So yeah, but anyway, maybe we should get on to some actual politics, because people are probably not too interested to hear.
Well, no, I think this is good. We're getting to know us, and like I said, we got to talk about things outside of.
Yeah, we can't always be eggheads. It's also good to do.
We can't always be eggheads. We got to let people know that we have lives outside of this stuff. We have normal interests. Like when I was in San Fran, I guess this is where I come out as a big deadhead. I love the music. I very much love the music of the Grateful Dead.
Me too. I listened to it, like, especially in like high school. I listened to a lot of Grateful Dead, and I had an aunt who was like a low key Deadhead, and like she really liked Dead. So yeah, I mean, actually, Donald, your general music taste has like re-inspired my deep love of progressive rock. I've
Yeah,
been listening to a lot of Zappa recently, and like Soft Machine.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's the good stuff, man. Like
Alan Holdsworth, and yeah.
that's like kind of what got me into music was like progressive rock
Yeah.
and 60s psychedelic rock, like when I was younger. And like obviously like, I like I'm into all kinds of different stuff, but so yeah, like I've always liked the Grateful Dead, but like over the past couple of years, like I've kind of become like obsessed with them and the way
Oh,
that,
really?
well, just like I got really into like the live recordings and
Oh
like,
yeah, you're down the rabbit hole.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're going. Are you?
like-
You're not on like. You're not like in the Fish territory, though, are you?
I mean I respect them, but they just don't have the songs.
Yeah.
Like they don't have like oh, I'll explain it. Okay, like I guess we talked about Muay Thai for like 30 minutes. Now we get to talk about the Grateful Dead for 30 minutes. So like, because there's actually is like a political element to this and stuff, but like the Grateful Dead's music is like very rooted in like American folk music, but also like jazz and like R&B and like country and stuff. So there is like this deep like kind of connection to like the kind of like I guess what they call Americana or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't even really like that term that much because it kind of flattens it all. But like, there's a connection to like all these old folk songs, like they cover like Woody Guthrie, Reverend Gary Davis, etc. And stuff like that. Whereas with Fish, they're very good musicians and stuff, but they just don't have the songwriting that the Grateful Dead has.
Yeah, I think it's also a very different historical context, right? I mean,
Yeah, well, Fish comes about when the Grateful Dead ends, when Jerry Garcia dies, and they kind of like continue the jam band or whatever, like culture. And I mean, honestly, I haven't listened to much Fish, like, so I can't really talk that much about them. But anyway, like the reason we're talking about the Grateful Dead is it's their 60th anniversary in Golden Gate Park in San Francisco. They had like a huge like celebration of like the 60th anniversary of the Grateful Dead with the remaining members of the band, and they had like a 3-night concert.
Sick.
And
what's Golden Gate Bridge Park like?
It's like it's a really big park. Let me actually bring up like a kind of a map,
because I have, as I was telling my comrades here before we went live, like I've never been to the West Coast, basically.
I mean, it's a little like Central Park. I mean, not feature-wise per se, but just in terms of scope, where it's like this incredibly large park that has these different, kind of.
But wait, so is
it
like in the city, or is it like across the bridge?
No, it's in the city. It's in the city.
It's in the city.
Hold on, let me bring up a picture real quick.
Was it packed? Like,
yeah. It was. Let me bring up a picture real quick.
Yeah. You'll have to tell me the demography because I'm.
Yeah. I want to hear all about the freaks and the weirdos.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. It was like going back in time to 1967. Man. Like, I mean, it was obviously not the same, but like it had that vibe. It did kind of feel like that kind of hippie like culture was kind of like having a tribute paid to it, I guess. And I have mixed feelings about like the whole hippie culture, like I don't like.
You can talk you should write a book on hippie culture, I swear.
Yeah, no, I could probably write a book about it. See, this is Golden Gate Park right here. This is like the city, so it's kind of like, yeah.
Oh,
and
so
like,
it is kind of like straight. It is like Central Park.
Yeah, it's like Central Park, and this is like the stadium, this Kezar Stadium, where the concert was.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And so there were like 60,000 people there for the concert.
Wow.
Yeah. And so like all the hippies and all the heads are like coming to town for the concert, and it's like there's like an area like outside the concert that they call Shakedown Street, where like vendors go to like sell like among other things like t-shirts, you know, like homemade t-shirts, like various paraphernalia, but also like drugs, obviously. Like, you know, you just walk
Nitrous
around.
gang?
Oh yeah, the nitrous was everywhere. There was balloons full of nitrous oxide everywhere, and people got busted. There was a whole truck full of. I guess the cops waited till the last night to like track down where all the nitrous was coming from, and then busted it.
Oh, there was. Sorry, I was responding. There was a nitrous fucking.
Oh yeah, no, like I mean
Oh,
it's a Grateful Dead concert, so obviously like you know the nitrous oxide is
Well,
everywhere.
I mean, of all the drugs I would have associated with the Grateful Dead, I'm not. The dentist drug is not what I would have.
No, it's big, right? There's like a whole like it is kind of like a organized criminal enterprise, right?
Yeah, there's like this weird thing called I don't know if they were there at this concert, but there is like this thing called the nitrous mafia that's like goes to these concerts and like will beat you up if you try to like sell nitrous. But so yeah, they were like selling the nitrous oxide, but they were like selling like
They
LSD.
beat you with Birkenstocks? Like, what are they? Like, what, or is it like legit like mafia? Not like.
No, it's not a legit mafia. I mean,
Okay.
I don't really know. There's an article about it if you want to look it up. I don't know how much of it is a thing still, but like, you know, you walk into like this area called Shakedown Street, which is like, you know, it's like an open air hippie market basically, where everyone's like selling mushrooms, LSD, weed, nitrous, like you know, Grateful Dead, hippie stuff, and you know, it's like a big party basically. Everyone's hanging out, like you know, no cops or anything.
That sounds hella fun.
It's fun, you know. It's a very you know fun experience. You know, the demographics are funny because it's like lots of like old white boomers.
Okay, so it wasn't on the older side. I mean, yeah.
But there's a lot of young people. There's a lot of young
Okay.
people there too, and you know, a lot of young people who are interested in the music or just you know, and with these things, there's always like a certain amount of people who just like want to go there to get fucked up and
Yeah,
party.
I mean, that's.
But I don't, you know, I don't know how much of that was there this time. Like,
You've defined a lot of the motivation of the hippie movement. Just like
right,
you
exactly.
look
That,
up,
yeah.
you know.
So you get the people who don't care about the music; they just want to get like fucked up. But you know, you know, it was and I've never actually seen you know this the current incarnation is called Dead and Company.
With John Mayer, right?
John Mayer, which
Wait,
I was
John Mayer?
yeah, and I was you know I was kind of
Damn.
skeptical of seeing them at first because like it's like you know John Mayer's like a mainstream pop artist. He
No,
can't
but he's
do-
a good guitarist, man.
and I was like he can't like do Jerry Garcia. Jerry
No, he's a
Garcia's-
solid guitarist, man. He's a
hold on. Let me, you know, this is Jerry Garcia, you know, he's so cosmic and out there. He goes into space, you know. So, you know, and I get there the first night and I was impressed. You know, he was carrying the show in a lot of cases. Like Bob Weir, who's kind of like the old aging front man. There were points where he kind of like wasn't holding up because he was, you know, no disrespect to him, but he's just getting old, you know, and he can't play as fast as the rest of the band. And John Mayer, he's a very good guitarist. You're right. He could do the crazy like psychedelic stuff and do the very bluesy kind of folk stuff as well. So I was very impressed with his ability to you know live up to the Jerry Garcia role.
Yeah, he's a subtle guitarist. He's like a subtle he's like really tasteful blues.
Right, exactly, because like Jerry does these like very long, flowing but melodic solos, and he was able to do that very well.
Yeah, he's not a wanker. It's not just like wanking, shredding. You know?
Right, exactly. So a lot of people think that Jerry Garcia is just a wanker, but he's not. He's a very
No.
melodic and tasteful guitarist.
No, he's a good guitarist. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And-
awesome though.
Yeah, you know, and there was like 3 nights of music, you know, so and each night, you know, they do the drums in space where it just becomes like total ambient, like freak out, and you know, and then you know, they had Billy Strings was the opener the first night. He came out, and then Sturgill Simpson was the opener. And then he
nice.
came out. Yeah, he sang "Morning Dew," which is like an old folk ballad. That it's not an old folk ballad. It's like a folk ballad that's like about nuclear apocalypse that the Grateful Dead cover and turn into their own like epic kind of thing. And Sturgill came out and sang that, and I was just like floored, man. Like I was just, you know, I was on a lot of edibles, and I was looking out at the crowd, just like thinking about like what would happen if this whole place just got blown up by a nuke. You know, that could happen right now. So I guess it wasn't really an escape from reality, but you know.
Well, you're like transported back to like the 80s, 90s.
Yeah, yeah, in a way, like
movement in San Francisco, like
yeah,
doing
yeah. I was kind of just
yeah.
like, I was like thinking I was on that Cold War trip.
Yeah,
that's kind of a regrettable line of thinking when you're high on it.
No, but you know, for some reason, like because the song of it, but it doesn't matter anyway, and that brought me back to like happiness, and I was able to vibe with it and not get too stuck on it.
So you you really were like transported to like late 90s nihilism. Like
no, you know, not
like,
really.
gives a fuck. Blow it up.
Oh, you're dead, so it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
Well, it just reminds me of like growing up in the Bay. I don't know if they're like in other places, but like the sort of product or the remnants of that sort of movement is like there are these signs, you know, around kind of like street signs that are like nuclear free zone, you know,
yeah,
zone, like all over Berkeley and whatever.
I don't even know. You know what's hilarious is that I remember I have a professor who's a nuclear physicist. He's a theoretical nuclear physicist, so he doesn't know how to build a bomb or whatever. He cares about quantum chromodynamics, but he was working at the Berkeley lab, and the Berkeley lab is like smack dab in the middle of the city. And like they were doing some kind of experiment where they had like a lot of uranium. Basically, uranium decays, emits nasty stuff. And they were trying to figure out, like, well, we need to get it out of here because we can't have this shit near people. But because of, like, Berkeley's weird nuclear-free politics or whatever policy, they couldn't actually transport it. So now it's just stuck there. So
Jeez.
ironically, because of the anti-nuclear politics, it's just this nuclear material that's there and that's no good, and they just threw sand on. And so like it's pretty fucked up, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, the hippies are very frustrating because it's like, you know, there are aspects that I like sympathize with, like, you know, the music I like. I mean, I sympathize with, like, you know, having a more open-minded attitude towards psychedelic drugs, even,
and sexual relations.
And sexual relations, obviously, and just having a more open-minded attitude about arts and culture, and just but then like a lot of the new age mysticism stuff, it gets very like sus and dark, honestly. And there's just a general kind of libertarian kind of attitude that you get, which can be positive in some cases, but I mean, when you know it becomes implicated in like corporate culture, it becomes very negative. And
yeah, and it's funny because like scientific thinking requires both anarchy and rigor, which is sort of what's paradoxical about it. But like, yeah, once you start to push, you know, kind of philosophical anarchism to the furthest limits, then you get this kind of hippie fascination with all kinds of weird metaphysics and epistemologies.
Did I tell you about that book, How the Hippies Saved Physics?
Yeah, I mean, that looks like a ton of shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that kind of stuff, you know, energy. And my God, when people use the term energy, you know, like waves and energy as if it were some, oh my God, that shit drives me crazy, dude. Like, there's two like kind of modern idioms that bring out my like annoying, well, actually kind of scientific mentality, and it's astrology, which many people around me like. And I have to shut my mouth about. I have to just shut up.
Yeah.
And the other one is just vague talk of energy. It's I fucking I hate it. I had an uncle who was kind of like that. He, you know, I remember one time he was like, because I listen to a lot of metal as well, and he was like always like metal's horrible, and like look, and he was like showing me. He's like, look, this is a picture of like water, like reacting to metal, and this is a picture of like water reacting to fish or whatever, and he was trying to tell me that like the energy of the first is like all off. I'm like, just leave me alone. I'm like,
your energy is not welcome at the Deadhead concert.
No, I saw someone at the Dead show wearing a Napalm Death shirt, and I was like, hell yeah, metalhead.
Embrace the contradiction. Yeah. So
I like metal too, you know. I'm not like one of those guys who only listens to one genre or whatever.
Well, like for me, it's like kind of the progressive like rock thing. Like
yeah.
Alan Holdsworth is sort of my musical god.
Yeah, no, I
And like
love.
Meshuggah is also like my musical god, and like Meshuggah is very influenced by like the guitarist Frederick Thornton Hall is very influenced by
Yeah,
Alan Holdsworth, who I've been re-listening to again recently, and it's been just like just always that guy always blows my mind.
yeah. No, I love jazz fusion stuff. I
Yeah.
love like and you know the Dead and Company. You know they do push the jazz fusion aspect of the Dead, which is really cool.
That's cool. That's cool to
Like
hear.
their keyboardist was going really crazy, and
You
their
should
bass.
send me some. You should send me some of that stuff. I'm curious.
Yeah, no, I will. I
Yeah,
will.
you
Yeah.
should. Yeah, actually, post it here. Shit, for the general listen.
So
Yeah,
Donald, you were there for all 3 days. Any other
Yeah,
other
I went for all
highlights?
3 days.
Any other
And the thing
characters?
is like I got a pretty good deal on the 3-day pass, but then like people were like offering me free tickets like outside the show.
What?
That's like a big thing is like, you know, like if you just like hang out and say like I need a free ticket, there's like a pretty good chance that someone will just give you a free ticket.
Wait, why? Because of like
Because it's just
Deadhead
hippie.
solidarity?
It's just deadhead culture. Like
Wow,
they call it like I need a miracle. Like they call it a miracle. It's like
that's pretty sick. I like
yeah.
that. So wait,
Yeah.
what else did you do in San Fran? Did you just
Well, I hung out in like the Haight Ashbury and like went to, you know, the different like you know, just like walked around and like explored the city. I went to North Beach and saw some like old beatnik stuff, like City Lights bookstore. Got a book of Pasolini poems there actually, which you appreciate.
Yeah, I love Pasolini.
Yeah, and you know, I kind of fucked up my foot, so I didn't get the, you know, so it was hard to walk around as much as I wanted to by the end of my trip there. And then you know, I caught COVID, which was
Fuck,
a
dude.
bummer. So it's kind of funny. So I was talking about how I was like kind of felt like I was LARPing the '60s earlier. So I'm like, yeah, man, I'm here in San Fran for the Dead concert at Golden Gate, and you know, now I gotta catch my my plane to Chicago for the SDS conference, where there's going to be a big fight with the Weathered Underground. In reality, it's the DSA conference, and you know, but so I caught COVID, and it hit me like pretty much right when I got to Chicago for the DSA conference. So I was pretty much stuck in my hotel room for the actual DSA conference. I didn't
Really?
get, yeah. Really.
Did you like at least see anyone?
I did, yeah, because there's like an outdoor lobby area. So
Oh, so you guys, so they were doing it at the like the same place they do the socialism conference, like
yeah,
near Chinatown.
Yeah.
So did you follow along, Donald, with the like?
I did. Yeah, I watched the stream of it, and I actually wrote some commentary on it for the Mug Bulletin.
That's right. Which I think is online now, or will be soon on the Marxist Unity Group Light in their site. And I know we're planning to talk more about this in the weeks to come and have some guests on to kind of speak more about their experiences. But any major impressions, Donald? Before we started, we told Jamil we would tell him about the kind of really ridiculous, argument that happened that kind of was the biggest controversy. But yeah, any highlights for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, I had to experience most of the convention itself, like from my hotel room on stream, and I would like to maybe in the future get some people like maybe Cliff or Eric or someone who was there to come on and talk about it more. But yeah, so the was one M, one V, one person, one vote, one man, one vote, or whatever, was the most like controversial thing I think at the convention. Would you say that's fair, Jack?
I think so. Yeah, I mean maybe the like anti-Zionism stuff as well, but I think it was less of a focal point of the one member, one vote, which was basically like a proposal to like have the National Political Committee, like the sort of highest leadership body of the organization, elected directly by like online ballot of members versus by like kind of the delegates elected by chapters, as well as to have members decide on national electoral endorsements instead of the elected National Political Committee.
Right.
Yeah. So a bit of a like attempt to take sort of decision-making power away from convention and kind of give it to like paper membership.
Right. So this is being pushed by Socialist Majority Caucus and Groundwork before a convention. It's being sold as like a democratizing DSA type thing. The idea is only delegates elected to convention get to vote on leadership. This is unfair. Every DSA member should get to vote on the leadership. And I mean, I guess at face value, like that argument does like make sense. And but like the problem is that the big problem is that it like divides the mandate between convention and the leadership itself, because you have a mandate from like the general membership voting in this poll online electing the leadership, and then you have the mandate of the convention itself. So now you have like a split mandate of the organization, which is basically Bonapartism, and it's basically the U.S. presidential system as well, which is
Yeah. I mean, the big comparison people are drawing is to like the UAW and other unions, which kind of like the reform caucuses would push for one member, one vote as a way to kind of dislodge the power of the, establishment, kind of bureaucrats, like union leaders. The difference being, in my mind, that like, DSA is actually a much more functional democratic body than like, an organization like UAW, where like, the kind of like delegates councils and things like that are like, totally controlled from the top.
Yeah. And the thing is like in a union, like every member has a union, like you pay your dues and you're represented in bargaining by who you vote for. Whereas DSA is it's just a different type of organization. It's a civic organization.
Yeah, it's fundamentally a volunteer.
Yeah, it's a volunteer civic organization where what you put into it is what you get out of it, basically.
It's not legally representing you.
Yeah, you're not legally representing a bargaining unit. So there's a difference in the type of organization you get. And my big argument against one person, one vote or whatever was that like DSA is like one of the only like kind of like in-person, face-to-face democratic organizations in American society where like people actually like get together and like do face-to-face democracy and like kind of build like an actual like real civil society, with warts and all. Obviously there's a lot of toxicity and a lot of bullshit that happens, but in reality, like it is one of the only organizations in American civil society where you actually have like face-to-face democratic like decision making and people actually like getting together and electing delegates and deliberating on these things. And so just making it all online polls set by the leadership is just going to completely hollow that out completely and destroy it. And I guess, there's leadership, electing leadership that way isn't like everything. It's not completely like destroying DSA's democracy, I guess, but it feels like it's like the first step in that direction.
Yeah.
So,
but this was like a pretty close, like coming into convention. This was like the big issue that people were talking about. After convention, the sort of right folks in the right caucuses said, oh, this convention sucked because we didn't get to talk about Trump and external politics and blah blah blah. But like,
right.
Let's be clear. They were focused. The right of the organization was focused on this internal reform, and it was looking like it was going to be pretty close, like kind of a bit of a toss up. And then we get to the convention floor, and there were some. One particularly bad argument, I think, from the supporters of one vote that if it wasn't already a done deal, that this wasn't going to happen. I think after that speech, it was like, okay, this is sure as hell not going to happen.
Yeah, somebody compared like people arguing against it to slaveholders, or saying, who was the
sounds a bit histrionic.
There's like a Socialist Majority Caucus person. I think it was, as I understand it, the argument was kind of around like the slaveholders didn't support like democratic structural reforms in the U.S. because they didn't want to give freed black people the right to vote, and things.
Yeah, it was basically like slaveholders
analogy.
It was like
yes.
The slaveholders, they didn't want one person, one vote. So therefore, like people who were John Adams, they quoted, they said it was you sound like John Adams or whatever, and it was just so stupid.
Yeah, I think a takeaway for all of us there is, you know, if you're trying to win an argument, calling the people that you want to win over to your side, you know, slaveholders is probably not the most persuasive argument to get people on your side.
That's bizarre.
Although our friend Parker said he thought it was actually a compelling argument, which I thought was very funny.
Parker, if you're listening, what the hell? John Adams didn't even own slaves, okay? Like it's they didn't even get the historical reference right.
Yeah, that's a rather strange. Doesn't seem like the most effective way of making the argument.
It was the opposite of an effective way to make the
argument.
And
the thing is like, no offense to some of the people who argued like against it, who might be listening, but I thought like the people arguing against it weren't really making strong arguments either.
Reductio ad Slavarium.
Like, no offense to anybody who was arguing against it who's listening. I mean, I get it. Like you're on stage, there's a lot of pressure, it's stress. You know, I thought it was like, oh, no one's making really good arguments against this. This is not going well. But then like somebody gets up and like makes the worst argument for it. So it's like, okay, yeah. So,
you know, as a general, I don't want to be the debate bro. As a general debate rule, keep your arguments simple.
Keep your arguments simple. Keep
your arguments simple. Yeah, reductio ad Slavarium does not sound like that. So, but yeah, there were some other debates. So I mean, I was following it kind of from a distance, like literally and also mentally. And it's one of the debates that seemed kind of bizarre to me. You know, so I'm technically a DSA member on paper, but I'm disengaged and worthless. I gave up on the DC. It's my fault more than anything. I'm not, you know, I've heard DC's gotten better, but I kind of gave up some years ago. But I had seen some debates around Palestine that were, some of which were kind of puzzling. I know that one of them was about making DSA a fighting anti-Zionist organization. And it passed by like 60% in favor of. I don't exactly know what, I mean, evidently on the face of it, all three of us agree with it. I don't know what is in the substance of that kind of. But then I saw kind of a lot of people reacting, being like, we have 40% Zionists and freaking the fuck out. And so it was a bit puzzling trying to make sense of all that. And the other thing was this debate over one state as a stated sort of position of DSA, and then I saw kind of these weird third worldist takes. Oh no, it had to do with secular.
Yeah, exactly.
There's these weird kind of third worldist takes about we can't dictate to the Palestinian people what they should do. It all seemed bizarre, yeah, but maybe we can get into that. I don't know if that's the next thing to tackle, but
yeah, no, we can get into it. I just yeah, this idiot from the ACP is this is one of the examples of like they were all going really insane about this. This is not the anti-Zionist one. This is the
this is the second one I mentioned.
Yeah. So I guess we can talk about this one first then. So they were saying, you know, there was just resolution 1, DSA for one Palestinian state. I personally would have voted for this. I was disappointed that this failed. But people were kind of misrepresenting this as like why it failed.
Yeah.
So,
you know, I mean, so the arguments that I saw deployed that had some degree of plausibility were we shouldn't be dictating to the Palestinian people what political goal they are seeking, right? But then the question is that what this amendment is doing, right?
Yeah.
Because, and Donald, you mentioned to me, it would be one thing to say, oh, we would desire this solution, right, so to speak, or this conclusion. It'd be another thing to say we will not support any oppositional movement in Palestine unless they agree with us, right, as a condition of support. And I don't think that's what this amendment was at all. I think you as a human being are entitled to have an opinion as to what you think to be just, right? That's not you dictating to the Palestinian people. That's just you having your opinion, right? It would be fucked up if it were a condition for support, which is obviously not, right? So I think that's kind of the major issue.
Right. Well, my take is the argument was there's a caucus, the anti-Zionist caucus, Springs of Revolution. They put forward an amendment that changed it to not have one secular democratic state, but to instead just say Palestinian self-determination, and also just they kind of they added some other language that kind of made it more about just self-determination in the abstract instead of like preferring a one secular democratic state as the outcome. And that amendment failed. And so because that amendment failed, they told everybody in the left-wing caucuses to vote against the resolution for the one-state solution on the grounds that it wasn't amended to take out the one secular state part, because they thought that this was putting conditions on support for Palestine to be a secular state. And I think you put it exactly as I put it, is that I don't think it conditions support for Palestine. It's just saying that this is our preferred outcome. Now, let's say if Hamas and their allies decided to negotiate for a two-state solution, would we no longer support Palestine because we prefer a one-state solution? Will we no longer support their movement? No, I would still support them. I might think that's not like the ideal strategy, but I would still support their self-determination. I would still support them.
Yeah, and it's a very and this brings us back to general debates about national liberation movements and where we place ourselves with reference to them. And it also is a very sensitive topic because of the gross imperialism that Muslim and Arab countries have always suffered and acutely suffered since 9/11, and because of the just prominence, or I don't even know, the disease that is Islamophobia that is poisoning the minds of Europeans and Americans. I think that there's a lot of skepticism towards a kind of secular politics that very often has been weaponized as a means of justifying the exploitation, oppression, and just slaughter of Arabs. But we also have to be very clear that if we are communists and socialists, historically, political forms of right-wing Islamism are our enemy. They are our fucking enemies in the final instance. We can't have any illusions about it. And we have had many comrades, Arabs, Muslims, who have suffered because who have fought against these forms of politics and who have suffered. At least in Algeria, the kind of the political Islamism, the modern political Islamism, they were collaborationists with the colonial regime. A lot of them. They did not. A lot of them were very reluctant to support independence. And then with the Civil War, I mean, they were vicious. And PAX, the Algerian Communist Party, was not just threatened by the state, which at many points had made them illegal and repressed them, but by the Islamists as well. Communism was seen as the ultimate heathen doctrine by a lot of these Islamists. So, let's have no fucking illusions, that doesn't mean that we don't critically support the only effective existing vehicle of resistance against the Zionist entity. But we have to be very, very clear about, in the long term, what political Islamism represents faced with us, right? And I have to repeat, the only existing effective vehicle of resistance against Zionist barbarism right now is Hamas. That's a fact.
Yeah, and the Houthis, who are also political
exactly.
Islam.
So those are facts, and that has to do with the general political trajectory of the Arab world, which is that with the collapse of anything like a progressive Arab nationalism, Arab socialism, Nasserism, and the Natlib movement and socialism in general, political Islam came to fill the void. That's just how it is today, but that's not how it always has to be. And eventually we do have to envision dislodging those, the hegemony of those movements. So Yeah, I mean, I think that debate brings into play like a lot of deep questions about how we relate to national liberation movements, and especially when those national liberation movements, um, it's not like the left wing of the Kuomintang. It's like, no, they're reactionaries. Like, they're utter reactionaries. How do we critically
Yeah,
support?
how do you deal with a situation where you have a reactionary political force that's fighting for a progressive democratic
Yeah,
demand?
or that has progressive content, if only because it's resisting imperialism, right?
Right.
Or
And so I think, and that's I think, with this resolution, like, even if you felt like the secular part was like a poison pill, I would have just swallowed it, because this passing would have been like a very good sign that DSA is moving beyond like the Harringtonian like two-state solution BS. So I felt like there was just kind of like a political immaturity on part of like the people who voted against it.
yeah, and it's one thing to be kind of like it's one thing to be kind of two-state, like in a kind of Norman Finkelstein way, because international law is God and you have to follow the law of international law, and international law in the UN says two-state. It's another thing to be kind of like, from what I understand, like a Harringtonian two-state, and express the sort of like undeniable right of the quote unquote Jewish people to a state.
Yeah.
Kind of like a principled, almost, it's like two-state is a means of saving that monstrosity, um, of salvaging like whatever reactionary right of a religious people to a state. So I think that anything that militates against that kind of shitty liberal Zionist bullshit basically should be supported. It'd have to be a pretty shitty amendment for me not to support it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could be clear, like 70% of DSA members are not Zionists.
Yeah,
They
that's
voted against this
Yeah,
resolution.
I think
Yeah,
easily.
no, they voted against it on Zion on I mean, I think some people voted against it because of for right-wing reasons, because it was too because of parts about disciplining electeds, but a lot of people voted against it on anti-Zionist grounds
Yeah.
because they didn't see it as hardline enough.
Well, I
And
think
that's
that-
like what that idiot from ACP doesn't understand.
Yeah. Well, I think you're thinking, because the discipline, I think that was in the other anti-Zionist resolution.
No, there was something about discipline in the
There
one
was,
one as
okay.
well. Yeah.
Because I know the one that was like 60-40 split, a lot of the, and which passed, and I saw a similar line of criticism. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
hold on. Let me
60-40. Yeah.
find that one as well.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole nother can of worms, right? The whole disciplining electeds. They'll let it, like, there's some people in DSA and in high up places who will just let anything go. I mean, working tirelessly for a ceasefire should have been like done,
So bad, so bad.
Yeah.
finished, a
I mean,
lie,
I think it's finished for a lot of people, but I do think that's going to be a live political question in the next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's AOC should be done. Let her go be Pelosi 2.0. But yeah.
Well, people are debating about whether she should run for president.
Exactly.
So this is the other one. They've been posting this graph as like evidence that like DSA is like Zionist or whatever.
I think that this is just cynical sabotage shit.
It is. It is.
I don't even know if these people believe that.
Yeah.
No, some of them do. Like a lot of like random communists on Twitter, like I think do actually believe that like 40% of DSA is Zionist.
Yeah, that seems. Yeah, that sounds like nonsense.
I mean, you could talk about like elected officials can be soft on anti-Zionism, like they face a lot of pressures and not making excuses or anything, but it's like AOC's making a reasonable political calculus. I don't think that like there's that percentage of folks who feel that way about Israel and Zionism, like as who are just members of the organization, and so there is, I think, people who are convinced that if we pass this resolution, there's going to be these witch hunts where we track all the Zionist members of DSA. And, I'm like, tell me who these people are. Like I could think of like a handful of people who are like, 70 and live, in, uptown New York,
Oh
like
yeah, wasn't there
old
that?
North Star people, maybe some of them are, but like,
Yeah. Wasn't there that weirdo who fucking wrote like some like petulant letter about how they were resigning from DSA because of the rampant anti-Semitism?
but we can't even expel them. They rage quit. There's
Yeah.
who are these people they're talking about? It's definitely not 40% of the organization. That's a total miss.
Yeah. Well, so I guess the resolution is like the classic anti-Zionist resolution that people have been trying to pass in DSA forever. And the language of it is basically that if you are materially supporting Zionism in some way, you are liable to be expelled from DSA, basically. And that DSA elected officials are expected to uphold BDS and uphold Palestinian self-determination. And
I'm kind of more. This is also a deep question of. This is also a deep question, right? It's like, what are grounds for purging?
Right. Well, it doesn't. The thing is so
like, what are the consequences of the practice of purging? How does it affect the protocols and the culture of an organization? And then the final issue is, does it solve the problem in the left?
Well, the thing is that this resolution did not create any new protocols for purging. Because for someone to be purged from DSA, they have to be found to be like in contradiction to the principles of DSA, and they have to be like the NPC or whatever has to find them like in contradiction to these principles. So all this does is like make it clear that like Zionism and like going against BDS and like supporting I saw the Arash Aziz piece. We can put that up in a second. Is against the principles of DSA. So now like through the existing mechanisms through which someone can be purged, now you can be purged for like supporting Zionism. And so people voted against this resolution for various reasons. Maybe some of them were deep cover Zionism. I don't know, but like I don't think 40% of the delegates who voted were Zionists. I think that they voted against it maybe because they were afraid that like that it would be used to like purge AOC or something. Or maybe they were afraid that like it would be like there would be a witch hunt against Jewish DSA members or something. There was a guy who ran for NPC who calls himself a third worldist who voted against it. I don't think he's a Zionist. I think that
I saw his like I saw some of his. It's like the arguments I was talking about before, I think were being deployed by that guy, or he was parroting them. Maybe he developed them. I don't know. But
so like there are a lot of people who are like, well, everybody who voted against this should be purged from DSA now, since now that DSA can purge Zionists, we can purge everyone who voted against this because they're all clearly Zionists. It's like, no, that's not how an organization works. Like that's just insane. You can't purge people who are voting the wrong way at a convention.
It is worth like, let's quote unquote, and I mean I don't know if this is the case, but like quote unquote thought experiment. Tomorrow some prominent member starts like full on supporting the genocide. What do you do with them, right? My initial moral impulse is to like, kick that guy the fuck out.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think we should kick them out.
Yeah, but then it's like, for lesser gradations of that insanity, like where do we not kick them out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd kind of prefer it continue the way that it's been taking place recently, which is just like as DSA sort of shakes off the kind of baggage of the Harringtonian kind of liberal labor Zionism, like just the people who have those opinions continue to feel marginalized, and
the political victory of anti-Zionism on the left, maybe not the correct kind, the one that the third worldists would like to see, but the victory of anti-Zionism is pretty much being realized, and in large part because of just Israel's monstrous genocidal conduct. We didn't have to do anything. People have fucking eyes and a brain and a conscience. Some of them, a good amount of them, and they're disgusted, and they're starting to see the project of Zionism for what it is. So it's kind of like moot to like implement some quote unquote witch hunt if the political, I mean, from what I can tell, the left is just hegemonically anti-Zionist.
Yeah, there's not going to be a witch hunt in DSA because of this resolution. This resolution is just to affirm our commitment to a political position and, you know, to send the message to our electeds, but also to send the message to Palestinian organizations that we're on their side and that we've made progress on this issue from the past.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, which we have seen, like the
Yeah.
Palestinian Youth Movement recently released a statement kind of, saying that, I don't think they said explicitly the boycott of DSA is dropped, but they did say, we're glad to see this pass. And there's been more collaboration between the two organizations in the past.
Yeah, so I'll take that over like a bunch of ankle biters on Twitter.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, so from my general feeling though was, and my general feeling and my impression comes from Twitter posts, but the right wing was like freaking out, like that it wasn't just just that they won every amendment, and just it seems like they didn't quite get what they wanted.
Yeah, which I don't get. It's not like they did horrible. Like they got plenty of people on. It's not like they got people on NPC. They, it's not like nothing super crazy ultra left like passed that's going to like make DSA like become like the Red Army or something. I don't know like what they're so afraid of.
Like Weather Underground, like the Siamese Liberation Front.
Yeah, like I was making a joke about this is going to be like SDS in 1969, man.
Yeah.
Weather Underground's going to be there. No, that's not what happened. There was nothing like that. Like
Starbucks or whatever.
Even like the new Maoist caucus was well behaved.
That's
like,
wow. I applaud them. Good job.
Like they even said like after the convention, like no, we're not going to purge everyone who voted against the anti-Zionist resolution. You people are stupid. Like,
yeah. So in terms of the NPC, it seems like it is a left-leaning NPC. I mean, I know we got congrats to our Mugs comrade. How many did we get?
3. All 3 Mug members got on.
Okay, how many people are on NPC? I forget.
It's now 23.
Okay.
I believe, because we expanded, and there's like a slim sort of left majority, sort of with B and Bread and Roses as the center, and then sort of other caucuses to their right.
So they're the kingmakers,
but
in a way.
Well, we'll see. I mean, my opinion is like I think it's really going to depend on the specific political question where the kind of lines will be drawn. Like, for example, like on questions of like national like endorsements, are we going to endorse like a slate of elected officials like for federal office? Like I don't think that is going to sort of that question is not going to be divided along an even left right line. Like the Red Star, who's kind of a nominally like a left wing caucus in DSA, like they've kind of telegraphed in a lot of their writing that they're not really interested in national electoral politics, and that we really have to build up our chapters before we can do kind of national political action. Whereas like Bread and Roses, Socialist Majority Caucus, even probably Groundwork, I think, well, they passed their resolution that they did with Bread and Roses, Groundwork, I think, focused specifically on this question, passed at the convention. So like that's not going to be a left-right, question, for example. So I think we'll have to see how it shakes out, on the particular questions. But it is a better sign than in previous years, and it has caused a lot of the right wing of the organization, who's pretty used to being like the strong majority, to really kind of freak out. I think a lot of them don't know exactly how to, be graceful losers, or even kind of like moderate winners, or sharing the
they're
pie.
sore losers.
They have this like the sectarians are winning, the sectarians are coming, and they're and we're the mass politics wing, and these sectarians are gonna shrink the organization, blah blah blah.
So much baby shit.
So
that's the line they're going with, is DSA has chosen the vanguardist approach rather than the mass politics approach.
It's very frustrating. It's like I feel like it's a lack of serious engagement with the political thought of like at least the past 3-4 years. I mean, like I think that like maybe, there certainly is, vanguard style politics, on the left in the US, but I think like in DSA, like that tendency is like much smaller. I think people are in DSA because they want it to be a mass. So
Yeah, I mean, also that term vanguardist gets thrown around a lot. Yeah, I don't know. Whenever I hear that coming from certain people, I'm always very skeptical about what's going to come next.
Yeah, it's a very silly term.
Yeah, because like it's kind of like whether you like it or not, like organizations develop leadership, a vanguard. The question is like how does it relate to the base, right?
I want to.
There being a strong vanguard. There being a strong vanguard does not mean that there isn't a mass party. They're not mutually exclusive, right? So it's kind of like a bit of a moot point. It's a false dichotomy, right?
Yes, exactly.
And I feel like there's a certain amount of hypocrisy from the folks sort of in the right of the organization who call, the left of the organization more vanguard or more sectarian when, in my experience, like the right wing of the organization, and other factions as well, can kind of reproduce this tendency, but like the leadership factions, folks who are in the kind of full-time or bureaucrat layer, act as, functionally as, vanguards who are pushing their politics forward and kind of expecting everybody else to just, show up and sign up and knock doors and not really be, kind of active political participants. And on the sectarian level, where there's kind of this like, they hate sectarians so much that they don't want to work with them, and that to me is like sectarian in itself. I mean, I do think like maybe the question that underlies this is like, how do we build coalitions with folks to our left and our right? Like, how do we orient towards those different groups? Like, there's a conversation to be had there. But I think the way that they paint it is like the left only wants to look left. We only want to look right. That's kind of the end of the story. And it really does a disservice, I think, to these kind of.
Well, they would even put it in the terms of they want to go LARP the Red Army. And we want to do serious politics, which consists in tailing the newest flavor of liberal.
Yeah, it's just not a realistic picture, though, of like where people's politics are.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I think they're underestimating is in some ways you kind of have to look at your enemy, right? I mean, look at this, like, you think the right wing is compromising on shit recently?
No,
it's just total fucking lunacy. They're not compromising on jack shit. And many of their beliefs are way more minoritarian than ours. And look where they are, man.
And they're winning they're making their minoritarian views more acceptable by being loud and proud about them. And
and they're just implementing whatever that they're like hegemonically in political power, I mean.
Oh, but my take on this all is like people are like, oh, DSA is like moving too left and it's going to become like, too radical to be able to be a voice for mass politics in a time where America needs a left-wing voice for mass politics, but it's going in the sectarian direction, and this is just not good. But my take is, listen, America, at least a segment of the American people, are moving in a left-wing direction. And if DSA doesn't follow them and also get with the program and move in a left-wing direction and get with the times, we're going to be stuck.
Well, we're already, I mean, in so many ways, we're very much in terms of brand associated with just like the AOC, neo-Pelosian Pelosi 2.0.
I think
politics, and quite frankly, we sort of deserve it, and as long as we tail that and are associated with that, we represent no alternative and we represent nothing new. And why the hell would anyone take us seriously?
I will say Rashida Tlaib in her speech, she did make some shots at AOC.
Yeah, because, she's a disgrace.
Yeah.
Tirelessly working for a ceasefire.
Yeah, she was pretty mad at AOC. You could tell
disgusting. That's literally genocide apologia.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. Do you think people don't see that shit? When the vast majority now of Americans are absolutely disgusted with what's going on. The last 2 years you've been parroting soft Zionist, if not outright Zionist points. Like, you're shot. You have no fucking credibility.
Yeah.
and this is like learn from your enemies. Also, like look at like Mélenchon has a lot of problems, and we're also I think gonna dive more into sort of left populism. But one of the things you can say about him is this guy often he's like, I don't give a shit what the commentariat thinks. I'm just gonna put my position out there and just defend it with like in all stubbornness. And
Yeah.
you look where he is. He went from like winning 3% to being the dominant political force, to trying to found a new government because Mélenchon kind of is like didn't accept that the left won. But look at just stop being the American left. One of the things that spiritually defines it throughout the ages is it's cowardly. It's just cowardly and has no spine. And eventually it's going to have to develop a spine, especially in the belly of the beast.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, like, listen, politics is getting really weird right now. The Democratic Party Trump is extremely unpopular among broad swaths of the American people. He's doing an absolutely terrible job with the economy. He's selling the country out to Israel and the Palantir and creating this technocratic authoritarian state. But the Democrats are massively unpopular as well.
They're actually less popular than he is unpopular.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing they have to offer right now is Gavin Newsom.
Newsom. Yeah.
Politics, but the thing is people are becoming politicized. People are tuning into politics.
Yeah.
But it's all kinds. It's a cauldron of weirdness out there, and so we have to get in there and we have to make our message clear, and we have to get people to listen to an actual Marxist message and not this warmed over progressive nonsense. And
I mean, and I wouldn't say Mamdani has gone that far, but he's at least
better than AOC has for sure.
Oh yeah, but at least he's trying to put out something new, and people are responding to it. I mean, even he's made shockwave when I was in front. Yeah, I know. Okay, I know. Listen. I know already. He's making overtures to a ton of bullshit. I'm very worried about that. And if you've actually listened to our commentary on Mamdani, I don't know if I was on I'm quite skeptical. I don't think that the way he's engaging electorally is the way we should be engaging electorally. Whereas I have a kind of more like traditional, almost like McNair line, right? Which is like, stop trying to win them because even if you've won them, you haven't solved the issue of real power. But all I'm trying to say is he has something that's somewhat distinguishable, and look how people have reacted, right?
Yeah,
it's a real firebrand message, something that really separates you. That
was for Newsom.
Yeah, gruesome Newsom. He sucks.
Gruesome Newsom.
He's so lame, bro. He's so lame.
Yeah,
but no, they're totally. Who's this? Who's the other guy who's been fucking annoying me? Who's too associated with like DSA, right? Is that Rokana guy? You know who I'm talking about?
The anti-monopoly guy.
Yeah, he sucks, dude. He's so annoying. I was looking into like his like political philosophy, and he's like, I'm an economic nationalist. And I'm like, you are.
So does he like Trump's tariffs?
Maybe. I don't know. Probably not, because he's opportunistic and he'll just say it wasn't done right.
That's like the cope that a lot of these people have. Oh, it just wasn't done right. Well,
yeah, he wants to bring back manufacturing, but how you do that, I don't know how he.
Did you guys see that? Like, it was like that Dustin Gostella, Eric Blanc kind of did that, like, K-means cluster of like, that like the political positions of Americans, and they found.
Yes, let me bring that up.
So fucking ridiculous. Like, just like, I don't know. There was one, on a stats level, just somebody saying like, listen, like if you just change any of the parameters of this like model, you're going to get, totally different clusters, like of, different political, positions.
Yeah. I'm also so tired of like the soft science fucking stats that goes into so many arguments because like, it's just not that simple. People's beliefs are not like the temperature of a vat of water.
Yeah.
Just not. People's beliefs are not features like natural features like temperature or something like that. It's just not that simple. They're highly mutable. They're vague.
Oh, here it is.
You change one word in the question, it totally flips a response. Like,
Exactly.
you have to
Yeah.
come with what you consider to be a robust program and develop it in people's minds, cohere it in people's minds, and win them over to those ideas.
Okay, yeah. So Eric Blanc posted this study.
God, Eric Blanc's like
I'm not
fucking-
sure.
fucking like high school social science graphs and shit drive me
Okay,
crazy.
so it was by Working Families Power. Is this by the that study, that Center for Working Class Studies that they have?
That's what I
Wait, let me
thought,
see.
but I'd need to confirm.
Okay, so all right, so this is like was like what I reacted to initially, was this is how they like carved out the working class. And I'm not even sure like what the sample base was,
Yeah.
or like what the parameters were, but so it's 14% next gen left, 13% mainstream liberals, 13% core MAGA, 14% anti-woke traditionalists, 14% secure suburban moderates, 16% diverse disaffected conservatives, and then 16% tuned out persuadables. I can't even like read all these labels without like laughing.
Yes, the classes that Marx identified.
Well, I think this is just like political views within the working class. And like
Okay.
I'll just say like my his point here was that like oh, you're never going to like win the working class to like radical leftism or whatever. But then like people responded by saying like what we would say, which is like, well, the point is to like win people to our politics.
Jesus Christ.
And then Blanc is just like, well, yeah, of course, but to do that you have to know where people already stand. And it's like, okay, so what is your point then?
Yeah, what are you saying?
But I just thought it's interesting that it's like, okay, right here, you got 14% anti-woke traditionalists, only 13% core MAGA, 13% mainstream libs. They're outnumbered by next gen left. So right there, that kind of shows there's a turn towards the weird, and when the going gets weird,
I just find this, and not to sound like an obnoxious physicist, but this is just like, what the fuck is this? I'm sorry. Like, I need to see the methodology.
Yeah, you got to see
How
the
these
because people broke up the methodology too on
how
here.
these categories are. Yeah, how these categories are they mutually exclusive? How do you put one in the one and not the other?
Yeah. Well, it's a k-means cluster, Jamil. So it really is like, you change the number of clusters or you rerun the model.
Yeah, I
again,
mean, I'm guessing it's just it's unsupervised machine learning. Is how they did it. But like, I just need to see the methodology.
Yeah. So these are like some of the.
Like what I'm trying to say is like, this is like very typical in kind of like Twitter arguments where some guy will be like, well, this study shows X. Here's
the thing about the studies, you can project whatever political views you want onto it.
Yeah. And like I have to repeat that like at the deepest kind of philosophical level, like people's beliefs are not a natural feature that's like temperature. We shouldn't be simply thinking of there's like a neutral way of recording those beliefs and then reacting to those beliefs. Like, there's also the fact that we can shape those beliefs. Like,
I just think it's funny. Like, what makes someone an anti-woke traditionalist versus core MAGA?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, wait, like, isn't that just redundant? Like, yeah.
Maybe the MAGA folks like, Zins and cocaine.
Yeah, whereas like the anti-woke traditionalists are like the Groypers, whereas like the core MAGA are like just the Alex Jones fans. It's Nick Fuentes fans versus Alex Jones fans.
One is into pedophilia and the other isn't, right? Like, I don't know what the hell is like.
One is anti-Semitic and the other isn't.
This is just baby science, dude. I'm not taking.
This is not serious stuff, but it is funny though to see people like push this stuff and be like, "Oh, this means we can't be too left wing. This is why DSA going too left wing is dangerous because there's too many anti-woke traditionalists."
Yeah, we need good social science and surveys and whatnot of working class and where the working quote unquote working class is, but it's never going to be so simple that you can just like pop up a plot and say like, look, my position is correct by science. Like that's just not
Yeah.
how it's going to be. You're going to need lots of data, look at it from different angles. Like it should inform how you're thinking, but in no way, shape, or form um, should we be trying to measure people's ideas like temperature and reacting to them and just feeding them back what they think, because that's not going to get us anywhere. You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, where it gets you is, go ahead, Don.
Well, I was gonna say, I think this was also done with like that Dustin Guastella guy and that whole think tank they have. And that Dustin Guastella guy, like, to me, he's just like a religious conservative who likes the aesthetics of leftism at this point. Like,
Yeah. Well, there's kind of a
Yeah.
lot of like isn't there like some Catholic traditionalists who are sort of Rawlsian type socialists?
yeah,
It's all
yeah.
about kind of distributive justice.
There's that like Elizabeth
Yeah.
Breinig.
Yeah,
right, is
like it
kinda-
seems like some of that shit is like kind of creeping into the Jacobin sphere, which is just
Yeah, which is lame as fuck. Yeah.
I hate that stuff so much.
Super fucking lame.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, have some goddamn courage. I mean, I'm not saying like get up there and the first thing you say to people is permanent revolution.
Yeah.
Talk about mass line and talk about the split between Mensheviks and Bolsheviks, and yeah, I'm not saying that either, but have fucking courage and try to win people over your
Speak
ideas.
the truth about the nature of our system.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really what we need to do, is just speak about the system and it's true. The nature.
Otherwise, just go be a fucking liberal. Honestly, just save us all the time, and stop wasting our time. Have courage.
About the DSA convention, though, I thought there's a couple of articles that came out that I wanted to comment on. That
1 second, I'll be right back. Give me 2 minutes.
So about the Die Linke article, did you see that, Jack?
Oh yeah. I think it was originally written by like an American author for like Portside, but then it was picked up by the by the Rosa Luxemburg Stiftung. What a hit piece. The right wing is freaking out.
Yeah,
again.
like it literally uses the mass socialist politics versus vanguard party framing, which is, like I said, mass vanguard is how I answer that question. But
exactly.
It's it starts out with, it was great. They sang the International, and but unfortunately, the movement is stuck in place. At a national level, DSA, the largest left-wing organization in the country, still seems unlikely to wield significant political clout. It's like, okay, well, is that what you want? Like,
yeah, right.
And then they quote a sheik from one of the co-chairs of DSA from Groundwork Now. He says, the composition of the new MPC doesn't reflect the balance of forces in DSA, he told reporters, noting that the candidate slate had been finalized before Zohran Mamdani's headline-grabbing victory in the New York mayoral primary. So, like, right there, like, why do we have one of our co-chairs like telling the press that the NPC is not actually like reflective of the membership of the organization now?
Yeah, really wild. Yeah, like just calling into question the legitimacy of our process. And like, I don't know, like I think what he's talking about is like, when we did delegate elections, like the apportionment, for delegate counts wasn't set before the end of the Zoran campaign or whatever. And it's like, that's always going to happen, like there's a cutoff for all these things. Like these things are always just snapshots. Like things are fluid, nothing is like discrete in that way. But these people are so cocky and confident that like, all these people are going to support their politics when it's
right.
Just like the American demographic, like the demographic of folks who are involved in this campaign, like or have people come from very different political perspectives and, support the Zoran campaign. So, it's cope is what it is, really. It's really just saying, oh, if we'd had a couple more people, we would have won. But I mean, I don't know, Donald, like, the impression I got was that, like, people in DSA are excited about the Zoran campaign, but it didn't really feature in the political conversation at the convention to the extent that maybe folks from, like, New York City, kind of have the blinders on and think New York City is kind of the only thing going on in the organization.
No, but there's this. It really drove me nuts, like the way that people talk about New York City DSA as like the only thing in DSA that's got everything going on, and then there's the rest of this organization just like a bunch of dead weight that's like holding us down, man. And if only they were doing it like New York City, though, then DSA would be great all over. But until it's like that, then it's all a bunch of dead weight holding us back.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit of a short-sighted view to me because it's like
a little bit is putting it lightly.
Like
we're trying to build a national political movement here. We're trying to, we're trying to build something that covers, the entire territory of the United States of America.
Exactly. Like I think a little bit about the sewer socialist movement in Milwaukee, in the like 20s or whatever it was, and it's like, yeah, they had a lot of power in the city at the time, but like, look, 10, 20 years down the line, look at the national level, like what do those politics really generate in terms of lasting organization? Like, the record is not clear.
Weren't they like incredible racists?
And they were, yeah, which I don't want to suggest is the case, in New York City.
No, absolutely not.
Just to say,
there was some annoying anti-Palestinian racism from some DSA right Twitter posters, which I won't say is, reflective of the entire DSA right.
Wait, really? What the hell did they say?
They were like making fun of keffiyehs and stuff. Like,
whatever.
Yeah, it was really stupid.
Whatever.
So
Yeah.
these people, this article writer has a problem with people with factions representing themselves. Right.
They're saying that the factions are like tearing DSA apart and it's not creating like any unifying purpose. But the thing is like we are like, I feel like at least Mug does like have a vision of like a unifying purpose for DSA, which is like a program that we fight for.
Yeah, I mean, I just want everybody to shut the hell up and just listen to them.
Yeah. And I think more DSA is like getting on board with that. And I think, so I think, there is a sense of unification happening, even with all of this drama happening, I think.
Yeah, well, there was the, one victory was the passage of the Marxist Unity Group sort of sponsored Principles of Party Building resolution.
Yes.
Which kind of put forward, that kind of, mass vanguard programmatic, type of, mass democratic organization as a party.
I mean, it is strange that Trump was not a major topic because
I was going to say like, but the problem
away from the U.S., Donald, I was like, this shit is entirely dystopian, and am becoming much more sympathetic to your point of view when we were debating about kind of the fascism. The fascism debate. To be honest, I think that I have to kind of revisit it, but I don't know if I was maybe even for aesthetic reasons, it is important to just raise the alarm bell because this shit is getting dystopian.
It's getting out of control. And I actually do agree with DSA, right? People were saying like, oh, there wasn't like enough discussion on like Trump and like the national political situation. I'm like, well, yeah, I agree. But like, that's not our fault. Like you guys made it all about one man, one vote. Like,
yeah,
there could have been more discussion about that. Like, I would have been for that. Like, I think this is really important stuff. Like, I think MAGA is like a huge threat, and we do need like more discussion about like national strategy. It's just like, but also like whenever they say that, it just means like we need more discussion on how we can like support centrist Democrats against.
Yeah, I mean, basically what they're going to say is there's a national emergency, and so what we have to do is shut up and tail the Democrats.
Right, and that's what they were saying about like supporting Kamala Harris. It's like, oh well, we didn't have any strategy against Trump, going into the 2024 election, and that's why DSA is in a bad shape right now. And it's like, well, your strategy was just to support Kamala Harris.
It'd be one thing if like we were like we actually had party numbers and we could have shifted the dynamic in terms of like, but DSA doing that is not going to change anything. It's just
Yeah,
all it's going to do is it's an admission of loyalty, because it's not like we could like make some compromise with the Harris regime and get concessions, or we have the numbers to shift the election one way, or we don't have that. It's not really, what I'm saying? This isn't like in France where
yeah.
you would block against the FN or something like that, right? The left would block against the FN to prevent them from getting into power. This is just a marginal group submitting to the Democratic Party. That's all it would mean effectively.
Yeah, it says day one, a majority rejected a motion for the moderates to prioritize debate on anti-Trump strategy. Instead,
well, I think it is a bit worrying that we're not having that conversation at the top.
But I think like the anti-Trump strategy thing was just like one of those, like, I think it was on the consent agenda or something. It was like kind of like, it wasn't even rejected. It was just like completely uncontroversial and didn't actually like raise any issues. But I feel like there wasn't any discussion about the climate either, like no discussion on immigration, which was frustrating. And I feel like it kind of captured this, my thoughts on it, which I shared with some MUG people, was that it kind of was a little too inward focused. Like it kind of showed like a DSA that's very much like absorbed in itself and focused on like how to like, fix itself very focused on fixing itself as an organization and building itself as an organization, but not.
It is very worrying that there wasn't also a major emphasis on immigration, because I can tell you that, for much of the working class in this country, it is a major.
But this is not new on the left. I was reading
there's whole communities that are terrified.
James Foreman, the former executive director of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, I was reading his book the other day, and he describes like some of the conferences that group had, after the freedom rides and stuff, where they're trying to figure out what to do next. And it was like, these like classic multi-day meetings, and they called in the field staff who are more black, more working class, to meet with, the other, sort of like office staff, admin, other leaders who are more, white, middle class, educated folks, college educated. And all the college educated people, like black and white, want to debate internal structure, decision making. I mean, it sounds even worse than DSA because they don't have Robert's rules. So they're just like literally like, how do we make decisions? And they're like arguing about this for like, multiple days or whatever. And then all the field staff, the kind of like, not as educated, more black, like, members just kind of leave after the first day. And they're like, fuck this, this is like not really important. And he argues, and, it's debatable, but Foreman argues that like their inability to develop a plan of action, in that moment kind of led to the group kind of losing momentum. And
I mean, we should have, every chapter should have in place general protocols for what you can do. To approach what's going on, because it's unacceptable.
It's so I do think there is like a sense of DSA being too inward focused.
And I mean, just demographically, trust me, if there were like Latino like comrades, a lot of them, it would have been taken much more seriously, because it is very serious right now. So that is a bit worrying.
I mean, in my local chapter, immigration is like a very hot issue. Is what a lot of people are concerned about. And Palestine stuff too, obviously, which is which was discussed a lot, which was good. But I would have liked to see more discussion on immigration and on like what are we going to do about MAGA.
National leadership should be developing plans from the national level to the chapter level for what can be done here and now to oppose what's going on, because it's fucking terrible.
It's funny. Nearly every caucus supports in principle the separation of a U.S. Socialist Party. It's funny. I mean, that kind of is true. Like even the right-wing caucuses basically like, we want a party at some point,
but just keep tailing the Democrats. What happens?
They don't put much actual thought into what that means.
No, I mean literally, it's just tail the Democrats.
But I'll take it. I mean, it's definitely like
it's improvement.
Exactly.
But there was little appetite for discussing why past third-party experiments from Green Party, the smaller socialist formations, had failed. That's discussed all the time in DSA. Like every fucking time someone talks about the party form, like they bring up the Green Party and why that failed. Like that's discussed at the death.
You know, I mean,
This is my favorite part of this article, though.
What?
Delegates did spend several hours debating anti-Zionism, eventually passing a resolution calling for the expulsion of members who make quote-unquote pro-Zionist statements or engage in quote-unquote pro-Zionist activity.
Wait,
My
that's
response to this is you're German, right?
yeah. Well, wait, they're also isn't that categorically false? Like this is a lie, right? That's not actually what the resolution called for, is it?
Yeah.
So this is journalistic malpractice because you're literally just lying.
Yeah, they're not actually talking about what the resolution actually calls for and like what
Yeah,
the
no, this
mechanics
is
of the
called
resolution
lying.
really
This is
are.
called falsifying what happened.
But it's kind of ridiculous the way that they're like,
Not okay.
we didn't talk about the important stuff, like why third parties fail or Trump, but we did talk about, this stupid thing, like anti-Zionism. We spent hours debating this, but none of the important stuff.
Yeah, as if it
It's
weren't
revealing.
important.
No, they're German. What do you expect?
Yeah. Sorry, German comrades. Most of you are just you suck. I don't know what else to
I'm
say.
sure if the Germans watching this know exactly what's going on.
The Germans who watch this know what's going on.
Yeah, they have to deal with these people just as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this was very silly. There was a DSA member who quoted anonymously who said one longtime DSA member speaking on condition of anonymity. Like, why do you need to be anonymous to say this? Warned that nearly all caucuses shared an idealism-based assumption that DSA should be the core of a third party. Without a coherent, organized push for socialist mass politics, they cautioned, the organization risked evolving into a swamp of competing sects, with or without Zohran Mamdani's leadership.
Oh my
God. Just, who is this person? I have a feeling if they actually weren't anonymous, we would just be some like North Star boomer, and like everyone would just laugh at them. So that's why they had to be anonymous.
Yeah.
Is North Star Morningside Heights? Because it's north.
I mean, a lot of their members are uptown. Although no, Morningside, it's not uptown, but
it's uptown. No, it's not. It's north in the sense that I mean it here, right?
But that has everything. The idealism based. I love that. It's like anything that's like pushing the envelope a little bit is like
it's
idealism. Just like having an idea of like, oh, maybe we could do something different.
Yeah. No, I need to write an article about this, about like the idea of materialism and DSA.
Yeah.
And like how it's like just there's this idea that like in DSA that materialism is basically just like the most vulgar pragmatism.
Yeah.
Where if you have any kind of principles or any kind of goals that go beyond like the most immediate campaigns, that's idealism. And materialism is when you basically just believe in like the most raw economic interest determining everything. And
yeah.
it just drives. I need to write an article on this.
Yeah, as if being a materialist meant you had no values.
Yes, exactly. It's just like they think materialism means that ideas like don't matter at all.
Listen, they're Americans. The only philosophy that they really truly live is pragmatism.
Exactly. No, it's Americanoid Philistinism.
Yeah, like we're very much like, if you think about it, that's the sole genuine philosophical school that has come out of America, exclusively out of America. Pragmatism. So yeah, they're just bandying terms, whatever. What's the other article? Did you guys go through that one when I was going?
Oh yeah, we can look at this.
We'll briefly go through it, yeah, we'll wrap it up.
It looks like we gotta wrap up soon, but yeah, we can look at Arash Tehran's little article in the Atlantic. It's paywalled, but I got a paywall remover set up, so let's get
hopefully that doesn't land us in
yeah, it's
recently we've been getting banned for dumb shit.
Yeah. All right, yeah, it's the real reason American socialists don't win. And yeah, this guy is
thanks for it's glad I'm glad that you have an article in the Atlantic that can solve this problem for us. It's that simple.
And this guy quit DSA over anti-Zionism, North Star guy. One of those Iranian expats. Very annoying.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
So he loves Israel.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah,
He
they
loves
tend to love Israel.
Yeah, he loves Israel, and he's really mad that DSA won't like support a two-state solution. Like he loves bringing up that, like, oh, the old left supported Israel. They supported the Soviet Union, who recognized Israel.
They were wrong.
Yeah, they were wrong. Like whatever. Like
Well, there's a
also,
great quote about this at the end, where he's invoking Harrington to make a very wrong argument.
Harrington.
so yeah, he starts out just like saying, like, yeah, the fighting oligarchy tour shows that Bernie Sanders and AOC are just like so popular. Which is like, okay, cool. They can get people to show up to a rally, but it doesn't actually translate to anything beyond that.
Yeah.
Beyond sheepdogging? No, it doesn't. They're sheepdogging.
It hasn't translated to anything meaningful. For the average voter, even 10 years after Sanders' historic presidential run, American socialists are simply not a distinct, recognized political force. I wonder why.
Yeah, bro. Why. Because you guys keep fucking tailing libs.
Yeah, because you tail libs and you don't make yourself a distinct, recognized.
No, guys, it's sectarianism.
It's sectarian to do that. Exactly. You keep saying it's sectarian to do that, Arash. And the reasons for this failure are entirely manifest at the meeting in Chicago. A significant part of the organization doesn't share its traditional concept of an electoral path to socialism.
There is none. So just shut up.
It's just like they have this idea, though, that it's like the DSA left is just against running in elections at all. Like that's what they think. That's not the case. We just want to do it in a principled way that it actually does make us a distinct, recognizable political force. Like it's. And okay, little about this convention suggested a mass political movement intent on winning elections and coming to power. Mamdani, AOC, and Sanders were absent, and so was their welcoming, practical political style.
No mention of Rashida Tlaib.
No reason Rashida, who was
welcoming. Awesome. Bernie's the most fucking grumpy curmudgeon.
That's why people like him, because he's grumpy. Like if he had better politics, like it would be perfect. Like I love that kind of grumpy, like curmudgeonly shit sometimes.
I think it's kind of I think he's gotten through to people despite him kind of being a dick. Like, I don't think
sometimes you gotta be a dick,
charismatic person. Huh?
Sometimes being a dick can help you.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're a dick to the right people.
Yeah.
He's a dick to,
In fact, DSA's national leadership has voted not to endorse AOC, and many of the organizations are now actively hostile to her. Some even poured a resolution at the convention to formally censor her for her tacit support of Zionism.
Tacit? She votes for fucking... She votes to give arms and munitions to Israel. Shut the fuck up. It's not tacit. It's open material.
Yeah, and she lied. She lied about the Biden administration.
Like you're clever.
And genocide.
Scare quoting shit like you're clever, you fucking moron. She literally votes to give arms to Israel.
They just can't comprehend that we have like legitimate beef with AOC.
Like this is not us like being angry about a tweet.
The mostly young and white crowd, of course, doing classic id Paul.
Bro, if you're the non-white representative, then I'm fine with having white people. Okay, you'll be a dinner.
And it's just not even true that it's only white. There's plenty.
Yeah, it's not.
DSA is more diverse than it used to be. I will say, it's gotten better, and seemed to consist of a consortium of activists. Many of them focused on single issues.
What the fuck are you like restoring the Shah and having a fucking British-style constitutional monarchy?
Some were preoccupied with protesting the convention's lack of a masking mandate. Nobody cares about that outside of Twitter, dude. That was only discussed on Twitter, as far as I can tell, outside the vote on. Many of the resolutions passed at the convention would have been non-starters for national politicians such as Sanders or AOC.
That's fine.
Oh, yeah, because they suck. Okay, here's them talking about the anti-Zionist resolution. And one pledge for DSA to be a fighting anti-Zionist organization that would endorse only candidates who supported BDS. This would disqualify Sanders. Well, that's Sanders' fault, not ours.
Yeah.
That's whenever they say this, it's like, well, you know what? Maybe they should get with the program. It's not our fault.
Sanders is actually losing people on this shit.
Yes, he's losing
actually
people.
To the right of a lot of Americans.
Yes. It's like I keep saying,
not like crazy activist liberal types, like just quote unquote normal Americans, whatever that means.
The resolution called for any DSA member opposing BDS or affiliated with the liberal Jewish organization J Street to be expelled. along with anybody who believes that Israel has a right to defend itself.
It
Who-
doesn't, because it doesn't
Who
have a
believes
right.
that Israel has a right to defend itself at this point?
Yeah, what the fuck does that even mean at this point? You're literally just apologizing for genocide.
Like my grandpa, I was watching I was hanging out with my grandpa watching the PBS report on Gaza with him, and he's always been like a supporter of Israel, although critical of Netanyahu. And he's just like, how can anybody support what the Jewish people are doing right now? How can the Jewish people be okay with this right now? Like nobody is okay with this. Nobody cares about Israel's right to defend itself right
Half
now.
the population is being starved to death.
Yeah.
How is that a right to any? What? How is that self-defense? Like,
if this wasn't defensible, even before October 7th, in my opinion, like
yeah, but now at this
now
point,
it's just
diluted.
craven. It's just
You have to be
absolutely craven.
diluted. Yeah.
If these were not the politics of DSA's visionary founder, Michael Harrington,
I would say he's the opposite of visionary.
like
he's like the most staid fucking pragmatist.
a Marxist who died in 1989. Harrington called for solidarity with leftist movements around the world who staunchly oppose authoritarianism. What's the leftist movement from 1989 that was against authoritarianism that Michael Harrington didn't have solidarity with?
Yeah, he didn't have solidarity with anyone. What the fuck is he talking about?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, but those are authoritarians.
Yeah, like
I guess the first Intifada was by authoritarians against the democratic Jewish state. So I guess
what the fuck is he talking? Like Harrington didn't have solidarity with anyone except for like the U.S. military.
Well, he had solidarity with Solidarity in Poland. So.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, exactly. Whatever.
In response to a post of course, he cites a Twitter post.
Great.
DSA's chapter in Worcester, Massachusetts, posted a video of an attendee at the convention shouting, "Fuck you, Mike Harrington."
Yeah, sick, bro.
Oh no. God forbid. This is not rhetoric or politics that could win elections in America.
No, I don't think that guy is arguing that we should make our national platform fuck Michael Harrington.
Yeah, I don't think that like Americans are voting on the basis of whether or not people support Michael Harrington. Like,
They don't know who he is, and thank God.
And then let's see. But to understand the discrepancy between the politics on the DSA convention floor and that of America's most popular socialist politicians requires a brief history. Like other American socialists who would spend decades trying to establish an alternative to Democrats and Republicans, Harrington's DSA was lodged in the Democratic Party. And it was irrelevant for years until people tried to build it into something outside the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Strategy of far leftists produced little more of an alphabet soup. The DSA, too, was a tiny organization of little political account for many decades. When American socialism finally got its lucky break in 2016, it did so because Sanders ran in the Democratic primary, not because socialists launched another quixotic third party.
To be fair, there's some that actually has some purchase.
No, there is some truth to that, and I'm not going to deny it.
Yeah,
but let's keep in mind that Sanders' run in the Democratic primary had purchase because he had a long career as an independent behind him.
Yeah, that's very true. And he had credibility as someone who was outside the party.
Exactly.
And then also, like, it's like it's not because he ran qua Democrat. It's because he had a platform given by running as a Democrat.
Yeah,
exactly.
He had persisted in being an intransigent little shit on that platform. He would have done a lot. Like we would be living in a different world.
Yeah. I'm not saying we'd be living in socialism, but I think we'd have a better position to fight for socialism from.
Yeah. Because now, I mean, the right wing can credibly say, like, if we're like, oh, Bernie's our guy, they'll be like, he's a Democrat. And then what are you supposed to say? Oh, no, he's really doing it because of the third party doesn't work. And you have to go on this whole fucking diatribe. And the right wing can just say he's a Democrat. It's that simple. He's just like the other ones, you know.
So, yeah, you got this infusion of new blood. And, that's good. But with this new blood comes a bunch of activists and many different leftist tendencies who don't respect Harrington. And then they form caucuses. And some of these caucuses are good, but some of them are like Red Star, who support Hamas and are Vanguard. They believe in the Vanguard. and
openly supports
they don't like the New Deal. And then there's another caucus, Marxist Unity Group, who want to free DSA from the Democratic Party and overthrow the Constitution, destroy every institution that denies the people an authentic popular democracy, abolishing the
doesn't
Senate.
sound so bad.
Yeah,
No, right?
the Electoral College, the Supreme Court, and the independent presidency. Didn't you say that you support movements against authoritarianism before? You should be all about that.
Yeah. No, but authoritarianism is only when other people do it. Okay.
Yeah.
Notably, people who are not in Europe and America.
So apparently, these are the sectarians and DSA who didn't support Joe Biden, and they weren't able to. They defeated the mainstream wing in the organization.
The silent majority of
majority.
Yeah.
And
yeah, whatever.
Yeah, this is and then he compares it to Viet Cong flag wavers from the 60s.
This guy hates mass movements. He hates activists in mass movements.
Yeah.
So ridiculous. Like,
Also, the Viet Cong are based.
You're calling yourself the mass politics wing of the organization, or you're allying yourself with the mass politics wing of the organization. Then you look at the, one of the biggest mass movements in the United States, and you complain about the people leading those organizations.
Yeah.
It's
really like who alive today looks back and thinks, oh man, the anti-war movement in Vietnam against Vietnam, is it's really a shame that people were flying Viet Cong flags, what a horrible thing that happened. No, they think, man, what a horrible thing that war happened. Can you believe that people didn't support the movement against the war back then?
Yeah.
And
then
they
also, also it's kind of even by America's own fucked up self-delusions about itself that it supports the underdog. What the fuck do you think the Viet Cong were?
Yeah.
They're literally getting invaded by fucking Japan, France, America, and Cambodia, China, and they won it all. It's a great story. You can definitely tell it to people amid America, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, hell yeah, Viet Cong are awesome."
I mean, this line just reminds me of people who complain about blue-haired activists or whatever.
Yeah.
This line from Harry, just call it freakish, sinister, or both. It's definitely a sort of a culture panic thing. It's how do you expect to win people over if you're just kind of calling them freaks?
The Hamasniks. That's what they like to call them, Hamasniks.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's obviously our sectarian ultra lefts who have stupid ideas, and we saw them, calling DSA secret Zionists or whatever. But whatever, just ignore them, or
yeah,
just
they're not,
or educate them and talk to them, have a dialogue. I used to be ultra left,
Yeah.
I guess I still am in this guy's eyes, but
yeah, but they don't care. They just it's kind of what Jack was saying earlier, which is that they want to dominate the org with no contest. And just I don't even know, just have it tail the Democrats until magically something happens. I really don't understand. I really don't understand what they want ultimately. I think that they're just very concerned on the immediate, which is just running.
It's a concern on the immediate campaign, the immediate electoral campaign, and just hoping that as that all accumulates, eventually it will lead somewhere new. But you need long-term thinking, you need a long-term strategy, and it's really from the left caucuses where that's coming right now.
Yeah. It's not simple what to do. I mean, I think we're all a bit puzzled about where things
we're all puzzled, and we're all thinking about it, and
acting like anyone has the perfect idea about what's going to bring about a principled mass left organization in the U.S. It's evidently very difficult because it's basically never been done.
But the discussion is happening, and the people are building the organization on the ground, and I think this was a good convention.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It's even kind of maybe inspired me to get re-involved in my DSA chapter in the local.
Yeah, no, you should.
I'm thinking about it. The question is, what do I only have so much time. What do I get involved in? Right.
There's probably some there's probably some Palestine organizing going on, I think.
Yeah, I could think about that. That's for sure. Yeah.
And to all the listeners out there, you heard Jamil. If you're excited, you feel like this is a good convention, definitely getting involved in DSA. Now is definitely it's a good time, and I'm sure we'll talk more on the stream in the weeks to come about ways people can get active. And
yeah, absolutely.
What the conversation's looking like on the new NPC and stuff like that. And I think we'll also be discussing some other developments in the socialist left, like the new UK left party. That's kind of an interesting development. And we'll be back on our bullshit, talking dumb liberal effective altruism. This new publication, The Argument.
Oh yeah, we wanted to talk about that as well. We ended up talking a lot about DSA and Grateful Dead and Muay Thai today. So I feel like
it was an eclectic one today.
Oh,
but
this
yeah,
is good though. This is good.
I promised that as part of our analysis of the new left party in Britain, that we're also going to be diving into the kind of ideological sources of populism. So we'll be talking Ernesto Laclau and Chantal Mouffe, and even like Jean-Luc Mélenchon's kind of his iterations on it. He published a book recently. I've been reading Hegemony and Socialist Strategy, and it's
I'm sorry.
It's a terrible book. Incredibly pretentious. An incredibly pretentious load of shit. And I'm also reading Jean-Luc Mélenchon's book, which is much less pretentious and actually quite interesting. There's a lot that's very interesting in it, as well as sort of like a lot of the interviews that have been coming out in Sidecar, the New Left Reviews kind of blog. I was sharing some stuff with our comrades here. It's the one guy, the pretentious Oxford guy, who's quoting rap. It was just too funny. So
yeah, we'll talk about that next episode. I think good topic.
Yeah. Anyways, comrades, it was nice talking.
I got a good outro clip for that matches the theme of our discussion.
Perfect. Thanks, everybody.
All right, I'll keep on trucking.
See you next week.
I don't joke. When I provoke, I take it out on the townsfolk. Motherfuckers will suffer and smother for my downstroke. Sever the head of a wannabe clever sucker rated X for extra local crazy mother.